Capricorn, this is Romy. This is your March 2024 soul story. I appreciate you joining me on the channel. If you've got a sun rising or your moon in the sign, then you might find that these messages help you to navigate your way through what surfaces over the next few weeks. We are going to open up with the energy of the Eight of Wands, and I like how you are rising above many situations that will be unfolding in the next few weeks, and doing it from a place of wanting to withdraw your time, energy and attention, not get caught up in the drama and actually not get distracted. And I want to say to you, it's an important message for the month of March not to be distracted. I think you will feel quite attracted to something, maybe a little bit of that shiny object syndrome going on, because it might look on the surface that it presents an easier or a more comfortable pathway. But I want to say, don't be afraid to, give something that you've already got going on a couple of goes through the course of March. It might take a few different approaches to be able to sort of find a way forward with it. So don't discard it or move away too quickly or too easily. It's not the time to give up in March. Now, we've got important news and communication. In fact, a flurry of communication coming your way. So if you have been waiting or felt that something has been somewhat held up, this is definitely a month when you're going to start to see and feel the kind of green lights. Again, I think that you're going to want to sort out something as a result of the communication. I think a lot came to light in February. There was an intensity about the experiences of the month, and you're probably still processing much of it. And even though you maybe set out the year with some fairly clear ideas and expectations around certain things in your life, even in this short period of time, of us arriving in March, you might have already drastically changed your outlook or had new things come to light. And certainly March is going to be a continuation of that helps you to perhaps fill in the blanks a little bit, or even understand that you need to kind of sit down and have somewhat of a rethink around something. The positive aspect of this is that there is going to be a lot to work with. The communication, the information is certainly flowing towards you with that Eight of Wands. I also have a sense that something is taking off, or that you're putting intention and energy around it to take off. And again, it just feels like this is something that's probably already been in motion, that you've been working on and sort of leading, and building towards. And I do think that you will find this to be a month that is supportive of a lot of the things, that you are trying to achieve. I do want to say, though, you don't have to do it all alone, okay? So just make sure that you are opening up to the support and leveraging the help that can enable you to achieve something and not kind of burn yourself or stretch yourself too much. So we have the Emperor coming in here, and again, it could be important conversations taking place with your significant other, or some sort of like outside energy that also has a strong bearing on something being possible through the course of March. Now, bear in mind, as we approach the 9th, we've got a square with Mars and Uranus, quite erratic, quite tense. It can spur us into action, but it can be somewhat of an unstable energy. So there could be something a little bit charged around any communication or negotiations, discussions, or events that are unfolding. Of course, that's tempered slightly the fact that we have this new moon in Pisces the next day on the 10th, coming in at 20 degrees. And, I do feel that you're going to be able to find some incredibly creative solutions. So if you come up against a no, okay, I want you to know that around that new moon, you're going to be able to find a way through. You're going to be able to table or to suggest or get access to something that's going to help to placate or find a compromise or just enable something to keep moving. That Eight of Wands says, don't worry, it's going to keep moving. The Emperor is sort of kind of holding the puppet strings here, and you may even feel like toward the first part and sort of building into the middle of March that you're having to dance to someone else's tune to a certain degree. That might feel a bit uncomfortable, and yet you feel you're kind of a little bit torn. You may even want to be saying yes to something and not sure that you can, because of the sort of way that you might feel a little bit under duress or, limited or restricted by something externally. I want you to understand that this is in some ways going to help you to reflect on where you might need to make an adjustment and reprioritize. We've got a second Emperor coming in. This deck has, both the masculine and feminine versions. So really emphasized even further in terms of your capacity to be able to actually empower yourself in a situation far more than what you think you may be able to, okay? I kind of feel like you also meet your match or someone else meets their match with you. So you are going kind of head to head, but it feels like a equal and a fair encounter or situation. No one's going to pull the wool over your eyes through the course of March, Capricorn. I also think that, you need to be mindful about the strategies that you're deploying. Now remember, in Pisces season, third house is lit up, and so many of the plans that you want to put in place, they kind of have to come from a somewhat tactical perspective. It's like sort of short-term planning, getting yourself from A to B. That said, the Emperor comes in with a very strong energy that says that's all well and good, and we do need to allow that to ensure the momentum continues. But what we don't want to do is lose sight of what the bigger picture is here, because otherwise we can get quite wasteful and not really consider the sort of action and reaction that's going to ensue as a result of some of those sort of shorter term choices and decisions that we might be looking to make, okay? So keep that in mind. I also want to highlight, because it feels important through March especially, like for you to self-reflect on where you might be unknowingly putting sanctions on yourself, okay? The Emperor feels like he's coming in with sanctions. And I'm wondering, to what degree are you sort of capping yourself in terms of how much happiness, how much abundance, how much time, fill in the blanks before you start sabotaging, before you start thinking it's not going to work out, or talking yourself out of something, or restricting yourself from something that you actually want, and therefore creating dramatic or tension or conflicted situations to stop or prevent or slow something down, okay? The Emperor can also reveal to us where we might be in a tendency for that to happen. The Two of Swords says, at the root of that could be an indecision. It could be that you're not quite certain about a specific person, a specific choice, or a way forward. And so, we are almost creating these delaying tactics within ourselves until we figure or process something. The two birds are communicating, and they're doing it face to face. And so again, along with these two emperors, I do feel like we've got critical, important conversations happening. And I'm going to say again, because it just feels really relevant, that what surfaced through February and the intensity that was felt with some scenarios that unfolded needs to now be worked through and talked about in a more meaningful, enriching experience, because what underpins it is something to do with like you healing from something. And so if we don't address it now, it feels like it continues to perpetuate and continues to influence you in both seen and unseen ways. Now, as we arrive into Aries energy, of course, we're also going to welcome the equinox this month. Beautiful seasonal alignment. And I think, more so than any other sign, Capricorn, you can truly see discipline as a form of devotion. And I think you can really teach others how to do that. And there's something around the equinox that's requiring your discipline. King of Swords is also helping you to untangle something and then almost knit it back together. So it may be that something was done, created, said, and we have to sort of unpick it all and then make sure that we return to it and put the right foundation in place so that it's not going to fall apart down the line, okay? I kind of feel like King of Swords wants to bring a really critical eye over something, and it's not coming in a judgmental way. It's coming in a, okay, if we're going to do this, just let's do it right. Let's do it right from the get-go. And I think that, you will bring that to bear in situations you are a part of and what you are expressing to others, but you'll also use that, to consider thoughtfully within yourself, where did I rush through something? And there's always that emphasis, especially as we come into Aries energy, to want to just get going, and that urgency can, you know, sometimes create sort of a haphazard, or, you know, things that feel a bit rushed or a bit half-baked because we're just so desperate to get going and get moving, especially if we felt a period of stagnancy around something. It's not really your vibe, and yet I still feel the astrological kind of influence of the beginning of this new year with Aries will sort of still drive you in that way. So we have to work quite hard in order to stop and try to regulate and thoughtfully think about our emotional responses in regards to something. A lot of strong masculine energy showing up for you as well through the month of March. I want to say you're entirely capable, even if you feel that you're not, in terms of handling and dealing with things through the course of March. And it is about you, I think, recognizing that, you know, it doesn't have to necessarily be something that everybody likes or everybody's okay with. Sometimes you just are going to have to step up and be like, well, you know what, this is the way it is, or this is the way it has to be. So I do think you will kind of exercise that in some capacity. And again, I think equinox helping you to understand that, because it's going to be the thing that helps to rebalance within you. And that's very important in order for you to be able to keep showing up or continuing down a certain course of action, is what I want to say, okay? We may also feel a slight sense of conflict in regards to a person who is presenting themselves by way of King of Swords. Even though they do have a solution, something about it feels quite sharp. It feels quite, I'm not sure if that's just a bit much, or if that can be something that I can tolerate. I feel like you're kind of coming at it and that it just feels a bit edgy and a bit, I don't know, like there's a requirement, I think, for somebody to go away and come back with something slightly softer or slightly more diluted or more palatable, is what I want to say in regards to that. And again, communication does seem to continue, but it is necessary before you're willing to commit or to finalize a choice or a key decision, I think, through the course of this month. Okay, so the devil is coming in for us. Now, we are going to be approaching, of course, our full moon lunar eclipse in Libra, 5 degrees, coming in on the 25th. Remember, this is a continuation of many of the themes that you were working with through October last year, and will continue to do so right into 2025. Not that you won't find resolution in March, because it's a full moon, so there's going to be something that comes to a point of release and wants to be acknowledged as kind of closing out, if you like, but there's something underpinning it that you're continuing to process and come to terms with. Remember, Aries, Libra, me versus we, and so, you know, it is hitting home powerfully in terms of how we show up to the relationship with ourselves and with others. I do think that you find yourself in a little bit of a rock and a hard place, and there does seem to be something that's kind of on your mind and creating some sense of imbalance for you. You might feel a little bit fixated on something through the course of March, and that just seems to get in the way a little bit of you being able to truly enjoy an experience, which, by the way, you should and are entitled to. So you have to kind of take a step back and go, to what degree is this overly influencing or exerting power on me? There is a strong sense of exerting power. I even wanted to say extortion there, so that's quite a heavy word to say. Nonetheless, keep an eye out, perhaps some of you coming into the realms of that type of an experience, or being aware of it looming on the horizon. The devil, always, of course, our greatest teacher, and there is something about him showing up through the course of March that's really going to help you face something, and again with that King of Swords, get to the root of it and untangled that web that either someone else has kind of created around you, or even you yourself have created within your thought forms. And so again, the revelations around that lunar eclipse will be deeply healing and cathartic, as perhaps you see something that you don't necessarily want to see or acknowledge. Nonetheless, it really gives you a sense of feeling in control about how you can now handle and deal with it. And with those emperors coming in, I know you will. And again, I return to the lightness of the Eight of Wands that says you are going to be able to rise up and over any situation, not in a sense of bypassing or avoiding or evading, but nonetheless still not being kind of pulled down by it to the degree that it sort of halts you in your tracks. That's not what the energy of March is doing for you. Now, of course, as we move into Aries season, it's igniting your 4th house, and there is going to be something very close to home that does need your time and attention, especially toward the end of the month. Pallas Athena, the asteroid goddess, is shifting retrograde in Sagittarius, and it invites us to sort of look before we leap and to rethink a bigger plan. So it might be something connected to house and home, or perhaps even where you work, and actually kind of having to reconsider what was expected or what you were about to put in motion. I still think that you can forge ahead, because remember I said don't be afraid to have a couple of goes at things through the course of March, but you might have to push your agenda a little bit more. I don't want to say forcibly, but in some ways, like with a sense of gusto and a weightiness and a focus and a just kind of an intentionality. Okay, the Emperor's just kind of not going to take any prisoners. If you don't, then it just feels that very quickly someone or something else can kind of dictate or decide the direction that something's going to go in. But when we're looking at things close to home, we also want to address how we're kind of managing, and what is going on at home, the energy and what's being activated around us, because that's going to be mirrored in lots of different areas of our life. So it's an interesting time to also see how that's playing out, and then sort of coming home to that base and that foundation first and foremost, and getting that in order so that you can be free to then follow and move in your other pathways without having that kind of be a very dominant influence over you. Okay, so it might be something connected to family or specifically to the home that needs to be addressed for you in the month of March. This is a test of stability for you this month, for all of us actually. But there are new chapters that are opening as a result of some of the revelations and what will be clearing out. And there is a sense of clearing out energy that comes really powerfully through in March. And I think you are kind of taking that on with a sense of discipline and determination. And you'll also start to see the fruits of your labor coming through in March, and actually quite quickly. So it could be a sense of something is initiated and you really start to sense a degree of traction without having to do too much. It will show you that this is the right time for you to be focused on this, because there is a sense of ease and flow that's coming in really beautifully. If you're new to the channel, Capricorn, our last 3 cards we cover in the extended version of my readings, so you can find the link in the comment description box underneath. And we will also look at a personal question and relationship card for you during that extended reading, so I hope you'll join me if this is resonating for you. Just going to go ahead and clarify, see the direction we'll be taking some of this. We've got 3 of Swords coming in, we have Queen of Wands. Let's have a look at this first Emperor, King of Pentacles. Another King of Swords, strongly weighted in the masculine energy this month, and the Magician. Gonna say, where's the softness? We're gonna have to tap into that. You might be finding yourselves in situations or having to kind of exercise those parts of yourself. You're maybe being asked to kind of tap into that, because that's what's required to be able to navigate. Another Emperor, wow. Okay, we also have Justice coming through there. So for some of you, this Emperor could absolutely represent outside institutions that you're dealing with. Got the energy of Death showing up, and 8 of Pentacles, the Chariot, another 2 of Swords coming in here. Really torn over something this month, Capricorn. Thing with the 2 of Swords though is I think we always do know what we want to do. It's just a case of why we're not giving ourselves permission, or what it is that we're using to prevent us from giving permission to actually take that course of action. Right, let's have a look at Life Soul Vision Oracle, which is my own deck. So you'll find this, my other sacred titles, ways to work with me, all the sacred soul support. This month I've got a sacred violet flame transmutation journey, and also working with the sacred element of water. So these are both really healing journeys to take. So you find all of that over on romywiser.com. Soul stories, we've got Spirit Crane. There's our eclipse revelation. Got the energy of collective heart, crown energy, Casting out constellations. This is the way, this is the work. Okay, finally we're going to look at an energy oracle for you for the month of March, Capricorn. Let's have a look. You have the angel of love coming in. Beautiful. Thank you for joining me. I hope you will come on to the extended so we can continue this conversation. Take good care. Enjoy equinox and the beautiful season alignment it brings. I'll see you again next time.